Then I'm going to put the collar in. I'm going to pin it down to show you all the givens. And, wow, this one has lots of symbols all over. Okay. Now this is what you do. The collar is not a seam like you put right sides together. So make sure the bodice is facing up and the collar is facing up. If you turn it down, you're going to have a collar with the understitching showing on top. Okay. Because it's kind of like, you think, okay, you know, a seam right sides together. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. Okay, the first thing you want to do is to get your facing of the collar and pin the center back notches of the yoke together like that. So there's 3 layers. What's happened to my, oh here it is. Okay, so only the facing of the collar and the 2 yokes I put together like that. Okay, that's a given. Now, that yoke, that clip that you just did, I'm going to call it the shoulder seam. Okay, that clip, match it with the one you just did against the yoke line right here. Put them right on each other, okay, so that when you look at them, they act as one. Sounds like Star Wars. Okay, and that's a given, so we're going to pin that down. Okay. This time I'm pinning top and the top of the collar and the bottom piece together, and it's right on that notch. Okay. At the end of the collar, you're gonna match it up with, you know, the 3 notches on the front neck. Okay, match it to the first notch you come to, and that's where the collar is going to end when you pin that down. Okay, you have 3 notches. The second notch you're going to fold back, so you're going to sandwich the collar between the bodice and the facing. And then the third notch will match the first notch, just like that. So everything runs. Okay. When you got the 3, the facing and the bodice and the collar sandwich in between, then pin them all together. Okay, so, okay, that's a given. All right. At the end here, you can kind of gauge to see where it's going to hit. Now, the patterns kind of differ because I made them all different times, and so you might have, it might meet 1/4, or it may meet up to. What? You could, yeah. Yeah. Or it could be folded 1/2 inch.
Wrong one.
Okay. I'm being blinded. Okay. All right. But this morning I found out this one was 1/2 inch. So I'm going to fold back 1/2 inch on the facing. This fold will lay right against the notch like this, just lined up with the notch. Let's see that. Okay, and we pin that together. Okay, that's all the givens that you have for the collar. So anything in between has to be eased into the seam allowance. So all the layers that happen to be there will be pinned together. Pins. Okay, I'm going to do the mirror image on the other side. Okay, I already got my center back pinned to the yokes. So put my clips together. Make sure I got the right clips. Okay, like that. Put them together. Then match it with the yoke clip on the bodice, here, like that, and then pin that down. The whole gist of this setting of the collar is to make those notches really line up. Okay. Then the end of the collar is pinned to the first notch you come to in the front of the neck. Okay. And then the second notch, you turn it right sides together, and the third notch matches the first. And now you sandwich your collar between facing and bodice and pin that together. Okay. And then with the facing, I'm turning down 1/2 inch and lining it up with the clip that I made for the notches. Okay, right against it like that. Okay, same thing. The setting, and basically this top collar is going to be finished off like how we did the top stitch method for the waistband. All that seam allowance is going to be tucked into the collar, and then we're going to cover it up and top stitch it on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is sew 1/4, and then I'm going to lift up the top collar and continue 1/4 all the way to the other side, and then catch everything and finish off that way. Okay. Alright, so now it's sewn, and when you turn the facings out, you can see that being done like that, okay, and then the other side too. See, so make sure that that's the outside, no understitching is there. Okay. I just have to warn you because that's one of the important things. Like that. Okay. Now, the proof of the pudding is if all my notches line up, I should be able to push the raw seams inside the collar and roll. And this is why that stay stitching you did when you first sewed down the interfacing is important, because if you miss that, then these won't be acting as one. Okay, like that. A little bit messy there, but it kind of lines up. I can clean it up. Okay, like this. So this is what happens. Put your seam allowances inside. I'm going to trim that out because it's sticking out. And to tuck the rest underneath the facing. And I'm going to tack it and take it and then edge stitch right across. Now let me see if I got this one right. Put it in and tuck it on there. Oh, that one worked more perfect. This is a nice clean one. Okay, that's a really nice one that I did. It just tucks right in because all the clips were kind of like they just kind of swing on each other. Okay, so you put the seam allowance in, turn under your top collar, and you use your stay stitching as a guide. And then you flap this down, and the facing should line up on the long side of your yoke. I'm going to tack that down and edge stitch it and close it all up. We call it the clean finish yoke. Okay, so let me do that. Alright. Okay. The first one here I get under, but it's a little messy here. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to now tack this down. Now some of them, especially the little boys' shirts, this facing can be even fatter, like almost an inch. Don't worry, because this tacking part is going into the bodice, but what it is the collar will cover it. Okay, so don't feel like you can't tack in that area. Okay, so tack it down, and tack that facing down, then get onto the collar, okay, and then turn the collar where the stay stitching is, and then kind of lap it to the first stitch that you did. Now when you're sewing this lap, don't pull, ease, because what you want to do is when you get to the other end, if you've been pulling, you're going to have extra fabric and you can't get rid of it and you're going to have a tuck there. So if you ease, and you know, you really can't ease too much, but you ease just a wee bit, you can pull it taut and then tack it and it comes out really smooth. Okay, so that's a very important thing. There's nothing like having a tuck. Okay, so anytime you can ease it in, just try and see if you can get the easing put into this neckline. Okay. Now some factories, the label isn't this way. It's sometimes one of those hook type, you know, what I call it U-shaped ones, or it could even be a loop for hanging the shirt. So if you're working in a company that puts these animities into the garment, you know, that's when you would put it in. You center it to the center back notch. Okay, so that time you might be adding something to it. And I'm trying to ease so that when I get to the other end, I won't have any kind of tuck to it, because then okay, getting there. Because I ease, when I get to the end, there won't be anything extra, and I'm just really smooth. And pivot and tack it down. Oh, I made this one at the end really clean. Really nice. That's how it really works, the real way. Just tuck it in. That's when fingernails come in handy. Okay. All right. So here now is your